So in the last video, we were able to use the audio spectrum effect and get some shapes dancing and changing color to the beat of the music. In this video, we're going to take a look and see how we can apply some similar effects to text to make some really unique looks. Let's get started. All right, so here we are in After Effects. I've got my dancing text at the top. I'm going to do something a little bit different in this case. Last time we worked with our audio waveform. This time we're going to turn this into some mathematic equation, and we'll a series of numbers. So what I'm going to do is take my layer here, my audio, and I'm going to come up to animation, and I'm going to come down to keyframe assistant and choose convert audio to keyframes. So animation, keyframe assistant, convert audio to keyframes, and we're going to click that. And analyze my audio. Awesome. Up here at the top, I have got audio amplitude. So this analyzes the audio and it says, hey, this is how loud your audio is at different points. And it created keyframes. Now, sometimes if I expand this out to effects, there we go. We've got a left, right, and both channel. Now, sometimes when audio is recorded, you'll have the vocals more so on one channel than another. Or you might have more of the highs on one side than you do on another. In this particular case, I believe it's pretty even across the board, so we could use left channel, right channel, or both channels. It doesn't really matter in this particular case. Your audio may be different. It all depends on how it was first recorded, and then before it was given to you. So with this, we're going to use both channels. So let's take our text layer. Now, if I hit S on my keyboard for scale, and I just pick whip this scale to, I've got to expand that out. It won't work. There we go. To the slider here. If I pick whip the scale to the slider like that, there we are. Let's see what happens. If I just come out here in time, start playing it. All right, you can see it starts to dance with the music, but it's a little bit small. I can't see it. Well, let's make a change. I'm going to expand the scale and take a look at this expression here that's been written. And I'm actually going to take and multiply this by, say, 3. Enter on my number pad. Let's see how that plays out. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better. All right, so that is a little bit better. It's still not quite what I'm looking for, so I'm going to change this up. I'm going to get rid of this. You can see we've animated the scale, but it was at a layer level. It wasn't necessarily animating the text itself. So let's get rid of this. I'm just going to click on the equal sign to get rid of it. Oh, click it. There we go, it's gone. I can even come in here and delete it. Okay, so I know that expression is totally gone. All right, so let's expand this, minimize that for a second. Okay, let's look at our text. If I expand my text, there we are. I'm going to click on Animate under my text. And I'm going to first check on Enable Per Character 3D. And you can see now I've got all these little boxes in here around, a box around every character. So it's going to initialize this text and take a look at it, initialize per character animations. Now I'm going to take and animate scale. So I clicked on animate. I'm going to say scale in this particular case. And you can see if I expand range selector 1 out and go to advanced, it says percentage and characters. So that's perfect. So we're going to animate this based on the characters that we have here written on the screen. So what are we going to do now with this? So what we can do now, since we're animating the scale per character 3D, I'm going to take the pick whip from the scale here in this particular case and bring it right up to the slider. Now, again, this is the scale that we put into the animate, so it's inside animator 1. It's not the scale under your transform for the layer base. This is actually text-based. Okay? And now you see this X, Y, and Z coordinates. Well, that's because we enabled per character 3D, meaning we can actually scale this on the X-axis, Y-axis, and Z-axis. So if I expand here the arrow next to scale, let's take a look at this a little bit further. I'm going to click in here so we can look at this expression. Now, this is the same expression at the top. Okay, I don't see anything here. So let's go ahead and say, we're going to put in here times 15. Now we've got temp, temp, and temp. What does that mean? Well, that temporary information is basically the temporary number. It's the number that it's reading. So as long as it says temp in there, each one of those is going to say what the slider is. For instance, the slider is 0 up here. So all three of them down here in red read 0, 0, 0. But if I say, hey, I don't need to animate it on the Z, so I'm just going to make it 100. Now these are percentages. That's why I know I can keep this at 100. Okay, hit enter. And now you can see this has changed to 100. It still says 0. The other two are 0. This one is at 100. So now it's just going to animate on the X and the Y. Again, it's going to say, hey, this slider times 15, and that's what that's going to be. So if I, again, come out into time, hit spacebar to play. Now it's animating the text individually. And 15 might be a little much. So we can come in here, just kind of drop some of this down, say we'll bring it to 5. And I don't like how it's using all of this text. Like it's all going together. It's kind of hard to see and hard to read sometimes. So let's make it dance a little bit more. So what we can do is say offset this. But you know what? I'm going to take this pick whip tool and I'm going to offset it to the slider. And I'm going to open up this expression. Again, it's the same expression that we have down below. And I'm going to type in, say, plus 35. Enter. So now if I play this back, there we are. Then you can see the D and the A aren't moving so much. You can see they're kind of dancing, and all the offset from a range selector on that height is being offset based on characters, right? But that's being offset also because of this expression right here. It's based on this number. Okay, so I could animate this. I could just say time times whatever and animate the offset that way. Or I could actually have that offset dance and move to the beat of the music. The same thing goes for rotation. So let's animate these. We could just add another effect right to this and say property, rotation. So far, nothing's happening. But if I say, hey, I'm going to adjust my Y rotation, or excuse me, let's adjust our Z rotation to the slider, and let's see what that does. Now you can kind of see it's at an angle. But you know what? It's just kind of going at an angle. That's not enough. Let's use a different effect. Whoops. Let's come down to this rotation. Let's use the wiggle effect on our per character base. So I'm going to come in here, and under our Z rotation, I'm going to type in wiggle. Parentheses. Now, wiggle has an X and a Y coordinate for this. It's got it's not really X and a Y. You've got two values. You've got value A and value B. Value A is how many times it's going to change per second. So I'm going to say 2 times per second. We'll make it 3 times per second. And then that second value is by how much. So whether it's a percentage, maybe it's a pixels. If you're wiggling a position, that would be a pixels, like and that sort of thing. We're doing rotation, so it's by how many degrees. So I'm going to say, in this particular case, let's say 13 degrees, enter. Or what we could do is say 3 times, instead of 13 degrees, we could also pick whip to that slider. And now it's going to be 3 times per whatever this slider is. So it's going to be 0, it could be 7, it could be 13, it could be 20, whatever the case may be, that is what it's going to be there. Enter. And let's see what we've got now. And just like that, now you can see the text kind of bobbing left and right and dancing to the beat of the music. Makes it a little bit more fun. So there you are. In this video, we were able to animate text. We used the wiggle expression to animate the text and make it bounce left to right. We were able to use a different type of expression to animate the per characters, so the characters were actually dancing up and down, left and right, and in its scale, all based on the audio amplitude that we pulled from our audio file from the original stage. All right, one last thing we're going to do is animate the color of the text based on the audio amplitude and the audio waveform. So I'll see you in the next video.